Okay.
Those in Chipue and Kagadi, the new district areas where we are going to be looking at teenage mothers, and the subject of puberty and adolescence is very critical.
Yes, I did.
Gaby will be doing an intervention with UNICEF where we are identifying how many teenage mothers, Jackie?
1,000 in 2 districts, teenage mothers, and so far we have reached 854 adolescent mothers.
And what are you going to do there?
We are going to provide them with life skills training, and also we are going to provide them with a cash transfer that will help them finish their vocational skills, but also those that were trained will be able to buy toolkits and also part of the household income just to boost and be able to get their basic needs, because some of them are the household head. Okay.
That discussion is going to be very helpful of adolescent and puberty, because my interest, Jackie, is whether are we having adolescent mothers there in how many districts are you doing this?
In 2 districts, but these are rural districts.
What is a rural district?
Rural district is different from the urban setting, but the rural district mainly upcountry districts where young people, most of the services are not within the reach of young people, and they miss out on very many opportunities. So unlikely in the urban setting, some developments are more concentrated.
Yes, go ahead.
First of all, thank you very much. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining this meeting. And wonderful. So my topic today.
Yeah, now we can see.
I chose the title Clothes for Renovation because teenagers often experience their physical changes as if a house is being renovated while the tenant is still living in it. Boys in particular tend to close themselves off during adolescence. Not only external changes become noticeable, but internal transformations too. Puberty typically starts between 10 and 11 years for girls and 11 to 12 years for boys, though it may begin earlier or later. It can last up to 5 years. Girls often experience more pronounced mood swings, while boys may be more prone to risk-taking and impulsive behavior. Puberty begins when changes in a child's brain trigger the release of sex hormones from the ovaries or testes. This upheaval in hormonal balance leads to profound physical and mental changes. Children grow taller, heavier, and stronger. They also experience changes in their sexual organs, skin, hair, tears, and perspiration. The brain undergoes immense restructuring during puberty. Not all areas mature at the same time. While the forebrain, that is this area, you see, this is the forebrain, responsible for rational decisions, is still under development. The limbic system, that is this area here, matures, which processes emotions and social cues, matures earlier. It also manages experiences of reward and punishment. When the brain wants something, be it a sweet, alcohol, or drug, it triggers the reward system. A craving develops, and once satisfied, dopamine is released, reinforcing the behavior. This is the foundation of all habits, especially of addictions. The brain grows until the age of mid to late 20s, but it constantly restructures itself depending on the learning of new theories or activities. Because the adolescent brain is like a construction site, alcohol, nicotine, and drugs can be extremely harmful and have long-term effects, mentally and physically. Cannabis, for instance, could even lead to psychosis. Teenagers are especially susceptible to addiction. They are more impulsive, make emotional decisions, and often don't fully understand consequences. All these changes can leave them confused, exhausted, and overwhelmed, making rest and sufficient sleep very important. Changes affect many areas in the life of an adolescent. We can support our children by talking openly about adolescence and encouraging healthy routines, such as nutritious eating and physical activity. Identity. Teenagers are discovering who they are. This shows in experimenting with clothing, music, hobbies, and social groups. Influences include family, friends, culture, and media. Some might identify with subcultures like goth, emo, hip-hop, gamer, or hipster. Independence. Young people seek independence in daily decisions, social life, and routines. They rather like to hang around with friends and peers than with their family members. At the same time, it might seem like parents and children are having more arguments. This is normal as children seek more independence. It's also because teenagers are starting to think more abstractly and to question different points of view. It might help to know that conflict tends to peak in early adolescence, and that these changes show that a child is developing his or her own personality. Even if parents feel like their sons or daughters are arguing a lot now, it isn't likely to affect the parent-child relationship in the longer term. But learning how to help their child calm down and how to manage conflict can help parents through this stage in their relationship. Positive relationships between parents and teenagers are important for social and emotional development in adolescence. While family relationships shift from authority-based to more peer-like, parents need to let go. But they should always remain loving, patient, and provide clear direction. Youth need explanations, not just rules, and trustworthy adults to guide them. Responsibility. Sometimes the young ones need to be encouraged to take on certain commitments. That can be taking care of a domestic pet, planting a garden, or whatever the requirements and possibilities are. Teenagers are likely to look for new experiences, including risky ventures. Especially boys are into all sorts of explorations. Risky play is thrilling and exciting. It's got a danger of physical injury. It's challenging. It tests limits, but it also helps children to discover and establish their own boundaries. It could be climbing, sliding, balancing, jumping and hanging, rolling, or using potentially dangerous tools. When adults show the young ones how to use woodwork tools, for example, they can lower the risks of injuries. It's good to choose play environments and experiences that are as safe as necessary rather than as safe as possible. The best safety is for children to learn through play how to deal with different environments and situations rather than avoiding them. Teenagers need to express themselves as individuals, but because of the way adolescents' brain develop, they often struggle with thinking through consequences and risks before they try something new. Next is values. Youth begin developing their own moral compass. Young people will question more things. The words and actions of their parents, mentors, or caretakers play a big role in shaping their protege's attitude and values through example and conversation. Influence. Friends and peers heavily influence young people, particularly their self-image, behavior, appearance, interests, and self-esteem. Yet parents still shape long-term values, career choices, and moral understanding. On their way to find their sexual identity, adolescents might be tempted to get involved in romances. It's essential that they understand that they are still maturing and are not yet emotionally ready for sexual relationships. To abstain from sexual relationships offers freedom to enjoy youth and make diverse friendships without risk of sexually transmitted diseases, pregnancy, or heartbreak. To develop a healthy, independent identity and to explore many interests such as sports, arts, music, science, serving the community and others. To learn social skills and prepare for a future career. To trust and be trusted in later marriage for a lifetime of exploring the mystic of sex in the security of a genuine, committed love. A purity pledge can solidify the young people's intention to preserve their pureness. It could be like this: cherishing the relationship of pure love between a man and a woman and longing to realize this in my own life, I make the following promises. Number 1, to respect and honor the ideal of purity in myself and others. Second, to refrain from sexual relations before marriage. Number 3, to develop my personality and character based on such values as respect for elders and honesty, commitment, and loyalty in friendships. Number 4, to keep fidelity in my future marriage. To help others to act accordingly. Adolescents can give this promise either in their families or in a group or together with their parents and friends. The parents may give their son or daughter a simple ring reminding them of their commitment. So media is also a big issue, I think. The internet and social media deeply affect how teens communicate, learn, and interact. While these platforms can benefit social growth, risks include cyberbullying, misinformation, data misuse, or other criminal activity. The teenager may develop excessive use or even addiction that severely restricts them and their environment. If, for example, life is increasingly dominated by activities on computers, games consoles, cell phones, and the like, the darker side emerges. When real life gradually takes a backseat and family, friends, and school commitments are neglected, and if someone can no longer control his consumption, he is addicted. Talking with adolescents is the best way to protect them from social media risks and ensure their internet safety. Here are some tips for media use. Set clear rules and time limits with mutual agreements. Parents could make agreements with their children about how they are allowed to use the computer, internet, and so on. It is essential that the child is involved in this decision-making process, and the rules should relate to specific problems. For instance, finish the homework first, then play. Frontal, strict guidelines or prohibitions are more likely to cause incomprehension and resistance. The principle is as many rules as necessary, as few as possible. Keep a media diary to track screen time and habits. Keeping a media diary could be helpful to keep track of the teenager's computer and internet use. This diary can be used to record times and activities. The little booklet or list should always be kept by the computer. For example, to offer a media-free family community afternoon or evening, playing games, watching a movie together, outdoor activities, or something else can be a good substitute. Installing filters or parental control software offer protection and self-framework conditions.
Hi.
For example, positive lists can be created that only allow surfing on predefined sites or certain sites, for instance, with questionable sexual or violent content, can be explicitly blocked. Some programs also offer time filters. However, the older the children, the less efficient these programs are. No system is perfect, and all software can be circumvented. If filter and protection programs are used, the child's media skills and personal responsibility should be strengthened at the same time. We cannot protect children from life, but we can only prepare them for life. Feeling positive about one's body. Teenage self-esteem is often affected by how teenagers think they look. The adolescents might also compare their body with those of friends and peers. It's good to talk with them about images on social and other media. Some images set unrealistic ideals for preteens and teenagers, but adults can help by explaining how the images are often digitally manipulated so that people look more beautiful than they really are. If the child isn't talking or opening up to the parents, they might like to talk with another trusted adult. If I, as an adult, show that I feel positive about my own body, it will be easier for a teenager to be positive about his or her body. A positive attitude includes making healthy eating and physical activity part of the everyday life, avoiding fat or crash diets, accepting one's genetics and talking about this influences body size and shape. Appreciating the body for what it can do, not just how it looks. Being proud of things in myself that aren't related to appearance. Accepting and valuing people for what they do and not commenting on how people look. Sometimes unhelpful body attitudes can show up in subtle comments and messages without us really being aware of it. For example, we might see a friend and say something like, "Oh, you have lost so much weight. You're looking great." Comments like these can add up and influence the way young people feel about their bodies. It's important to let everyone in the family or community know that joking about weight or appearance is not okay. Teasing can have a negative influence on body image and can even lead to bullying. How do we deal with bullying? A person can learn ways to handle bullying when it's happening. This gives someone skills to deal with future intimidation or negative social behavior. It also helps to feel more confident and less powerless about being harassed. Here are some ideas. Tell the person to stop, calmly and firmly standing up to people who are bullying and let them know that what they are trying to do isn't working. Ignore verbal taunts. Best is to ignore verbal taunts and move away if the bullying continues. The victim should not engage with the bully and ignore what they say, not looking at them, and walk away. Avoid high-risk places. Identify safe places and stick to safe public areas. Busy public places are good options. Stay around other people or near trusted friends or adults. Then the bully probably won't bother you. Use different strategies for different situations. For example, If someone is calling the person names, he or she might tell the bully to stop or try ignoring it. But if the aggressor is physically violent, it's best to report immediately to a responsible adult. How to stop a youth that is bullying? How can we teach an aggressive teenager? We have to let the aggressor know that bullying is not okay and can bring serious consequences at home, school, and in the community if it continues. We need to understand the reasons behind the young one's behavior. In some cases, adolescents bully because they have trouble managing strong emotions like anger, frustration, or insecurity. Often, youngsters who torment others are mistreated themselves by a parent, family member, or another adult. They have to understand that bullying in any form causes pain to others and has serious consequences. We should let them know that name-calling, teasing, hitting, pushing, starting or spreading rumors, cyberbullying, and all other forms of bullying are wrong and not acceptable behavior. The teenagers should know that we will help them to change their conduct and correct the situation. We ask them how they think the maltreatment could stop. What do they think has to change in order for them to change? Apologize sincerely. First of all, the aggressor needs to understand that he or she hurt somebody. To apologize takes courage. It might be necessary that a trusted, mature, and caring adult accompanies the youngster in this process. Anti-violence training can help to resist provocations and raise the tolerance limit. Remember Marshall Rosenberg on nonviolent communication? To practice active listening by giving my full attention to the person speaking. To focus on clarity and brevity when speaking, avoiding unnecessary details. To pay attention to my body language and tone of voice to convey my message effectively, and to ask questions to clarify my understanding of the other person's message. First of all, we have to identify and talk about fears. That requires a lot of bravery. The next step might be to acknowledge anxieties and to find ways to engage in self-soothing techniques, like breathing and relaxing methods, gradually confronting the dreads and ultimately facing fears head-on, even in small steps, can help to overcome them and build resilience. Confront and challenge destructive thoughts. You have to identify irrational thoughts and reframe those by seeing them from a different perspective. Improve self-esteem by replacing harsh self-criticism with positive and encouraging affirmations. What does he or she regard as positive character traits? Or what are the things that someone can do best? What does he or she like about him or herself? What strengths and achievements are there? Identify positive coping mechanisms. Setting reasonable goals into small, manageable steps. This makes progress visible and rewarding. It can be helpful to engage in activities the teenager enjoys and excels at, that can boost his or her sense of competence and confidence. Change negative thoughts. Positive affirmations can help, such as, I'm a good person. I love and respect myself and others. I forgive myself and others. We cannot avoid negative thoughts, but we can avoid to interact with them. We can imagine to put them on a cloud and let them drift away. Parents and caring adults play a vital role in guiding youth toward maturity. Strong family and peer relationships are essential. Parents can be a role model for positive relationships with a child's friends, children, partner, and colleagues. The teenager will learn from seeing relationships that have respect, empathy, and positive ways of resolving conflict. Adults can also role model positive ways of dealing with difficult emotions, moods, and conflict. For example, there'll be times when parents feel cranky, tired, or unsociable. Instead of withdrawing from their child or getting into an argument, they could say, "I'm tired and cross. I feel I can't talk now without getting upset. Can we have this conversation later?" They got to know their son's or daughter's friends. Getting to know their child's friends and making them welcome in their home will help parents keep up with their child's social relationships. It also shows that the parents recognize how important their child's friends are to their teen's sense of self. If they are concerned about their child's friends, they might be able to guide their child toward other social groups. But banning a friendship or criticizing their child's friends could have the opposite effect. That is, their child might want to spend even more time with a group of friends they've banned. Active listening can be a powerful way of strengthening the relationship with the youngsters in these years. To listen actively, one needs to stop what one is doing when the teenager wants to talk. If the father or mother is in the middle of something, they should make a time when they can listen. It's important to respect the child's feelings and opinions and try to understand his or her perspective, even if it's not the same as the parents'. Telling my children how I feel when they behave in particular ways helps them learn to read and respond to emotions. It also models positive and constructive ways of relating to other people. It can be as simple as saying something like, "I felt really happy when you invited me to your school performance." If parents talk about relationships, sex, and sexuality in an open and non-judgmental way with their child, it can promote trust between them. But it's best to look for everyday moments to raise these issues rather than having a big talk. When these moments come up, it's often good to find out what their child already knows. Parents should correct any misinformation and give the facts. They can also use these conversations to talk about appropriate behavior, respectful relationships, and pornography. Ideally, the parents let their child know they are always available to talk about questions or concerns. Focus on the positive. There might be times when parents seem to have a lot of conflict with their child, or their son or daughter seems very moody. In these times, it helps to focus on and reinforce the positive aspects of his or her social emotional development. For example, parents could praise their child for being a good friend, having a wide variety of interests, or trying hard at school. So our children need good mental health. Mental health means social and emotional well-being to develop well, build strong relationships, adapt to change, and deal with life's challenges. Preteens and teenagers who have good mental health usually feel happier and more positive about themselves and enjoy life. They bounce back from upsets and disappointments and have healthier relationships with family and friends. Good mental health supports teens' ability to cope, grow, and thrive. Physical activities can be sports, dancing, gardening, and others. Physical health is key to mental health and will help to stay healthy, have more energy, feel confident, manage stress, and sleep well. Healthy food means a balanced diet, not fast food or sweets. The body needs enough good nutrition to grow well. Social activities. Caring for others is strengthening a good character, and the youth feel they belong to their community. Strong and loving relationships can have a direct and positive influence on preteen and teenage mental health. Relaxation and getting enough sleep. Relaxing and getting enough sleep during adolescence is crucial for physical and mental health, cognitive function, and overall well-being. Preteens need 9 to 11 hours of sleep, and teenagers 8 to 10 hours per night. Quality sleep will help the youth to manage a busy life, stress, and responsibilities. It supports brain development, strengthens the immune system, and regulates hormones. It also improves mood, attention, memory, and academic performance. Here is a couple of ideas for parents to promote their child's mental health and well-being. Love, affection, and care. Show love, affection, and care for your child in ways that he or she likes. For example, your child might like hugs, smiles, pats on the back, or quiet time together. Being interested in your child's life. Show that you're interested in what's happening in your child's life. Praise your son's or daughter's efforts, as well as their good points and achievements. Value your child's ideas and opinions. Spending time. Enjoy spending time together, one-on-one with your child and also as a family. Encourage your child to talk about feelings with you. It's important for your child to feel they don't have to go through things on their own. If you work together on solving problems, it can stop things building up. Balance internet activities with other activities that are good for development. Avoid alcohol and other drugs. They are a major risk factor for teenage mental health problems. Show a good example yourself and offer healthy and pleasant alternatives. In case you're worried that your child is using alcohol or drugs, talk with your son and daughter. Do you have any concerns? It's normal for preteens and teenagers to sometimes have low moods, poor motivation, and sleep difficulties. These things aren't always the signs of a mental health problem. Talk to trusted family members, friends, teachers, or other parents if you have any concerns about your child. But if you notice that your teenager's condition does not improve and is instead getting worse, don't hesitate to seek professional help. Mental health problems are unlikely to get better on their own, yet they respond well to treatment. It takes an ocean of patience and tons of love to guide a teenager through the rough and stormy time of adolescence. At this point, I would like to ask my husband to say a few words.
This is nice.
Hello. Nice to meet you. Yeah, the topic is about the difficult education of teenagers, right? Well, indeed. I remember myself when I was a teenager. I wanted to escape from home. I was a real rebel. And only later I could appreciate the wisdom of my parents and especially of my grandparents. And I think in this kind of situation, we have to be very, very smart, very wise. We have educated 4 children, and thanks God they are doing well somehow in society, but it has been tough. I must admit it has not been easy. Right, darling?
Right.
I am very proud of Gaby, that she is doing this. She is using her experience and her wisdom to share it with you. And so I hope you can make the best of this. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Of course.
Gaby,
Yeah.
are we done with the presentation, or you're still going through the presentation?
No, it's only basically it's finished.
Okay, so
I thank you very much for your attention. Yeah, but no, you can ask your questions and we both can give you answers. Either you can give the questions to my husband or to me, whatever, or you can comment.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much for that presentation. And we are glad that hugely UYDEL is working with young people, particularly the adolescents, both male and female. And it's good to hear from the husband. Many of us, we have learned through experiences, our own experiences or other people's experiences, through the peer learning, but also people sharing their experiences like him. Thank you so much to volunteer, share your experience. And I would love to call all the other participants online. If you have a comment, you can raise your hand or you can type in the chat. We can have it captured in there, and then we shall receive the responses from Gaby and the partner. I just wanted to start with a question. Yes, we are working with different categories of young people, despite the fact that we are working with adolescents, but it's not a unique category. We have different categories of young people, including the adolescent mothers that we talked about at the beginning of the discussion. So in the context of forced marriage and social exclusion, particularly among the adolescent mothers, what practical steps can be taken to help adolescent mothers cultivate a sense of independent decision-making processes? Because they're already vulnerable and they're into a very toxic relationship that they do not want to be in. And we can see that it is hard for them to make any decisions because, I mean, they do not, psychologically, they are tortured, economically, they are unable to empower themselves. What is your advice on that? Thank you.
I think there is no simple solution, but if they are in a toxic relationship, then it's important that they get out of this somehow, that they find a shelter somewhere where they are in a safe environment. And then sometimes they have to, was heißt nachholen? Then they have to
repeat, or
that they need the possibility to still mature and to be able to take responsibility and to make their own decisions. So they need more time actually to develop. I would not see any other simple solution for that, because if they remain in that toxic relationship, things will get worse for themselves and also for their children, because also the children, they only have this bad example in front of them. And then it causes a spiral of difficulties, of difficult relationships, of hatred and of fear, anxieties, and all the rest of it. I don't know whether it is a satisfying answer, but as I said, it is not simple. But I mean, here in the West, we have sort of accommodations so that mothers who are who were maltreated can be with their children, and where the men don't have any access to, so that they are in a safe place. But I don't know about the possibilities in Africa, especially in the rural areas. I think it will be very difficult. Maybe they will have a chance when they have relatives to be with them. But they need protection. They need a safe place for themselves and for the children, definitely.
Yes, because they're children, they need to be protected.
Right.
It is just the support system within our environment, just like you have said, that may not be helped immediately, because there are those immediate services that the young people need. Thank you so much. And I can see in the chat, someone is saying, is it possible to share the presentation on our emails? I think that is possible, right? Gaby?
Email.
Yes,
I
yes.
picked this
I
from
can
the
do that, and
chat.
also Lily will make a video from that.
Okay, anyone with a question, please raise your hand. Any reaction, any comments? I can see Sabiti. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Sabiti. One for me, I don't have a question, but it is a comment. First of all, we understand that bullying and teasing is one of the greatest problems that is being faced by the youth in different communities, and to the extent that in some parts of our country, bullying and teasing, it is even something which goes on as an inheritance. Especially in Uganda, if you try to analyze some of the schools, you find that if someone was teased or was bullied at one stage, he will also wait to bully those ones who will come. So, and it starts all the way from primary up to the university. So those who have passed through the gates of Makerere, you can tell it is a university, but you find that a given hall doesn't cooperate with a given hall. And it has been there for over 40, 50, 70 years since the start. So it takes a big step for all of us to stand as one, as advocates and as social workers, to fight against such things, and we educate the community about the dangers that comes with bullying and teasing. Then also on the question which your formerly a UYDEL official had asked, me the only thing is I can also add on is that it is better we also try to analyze some of our traditional methods. We should indigenize some of the things, because as the presenter said that for them in the West, they have a given format. But for us in Africa, there is a given way how we should also handle the thing, especially looking at the kinship system and also knowing the different protocols provided by the culture and the family on how such matters affecting the teenage girls can be handled. Thank you very much. I beg to submit.
Yeah, thank you very much for your comment. Yeah, bullying has to stop, definitely. Violence has to stop. We have to find a peaceful way, because, yeah, we are one mankind, and we have to deal with so many conflicts, and because of so many misunderstandings, and people did not learn how to live peacefully together, and also how to solve conflicts. But there are ways to do that. And we have to learn them, and we have to teach them.
Any other comments? Any comments, questions?
I just wanted to know, how do you deal with those kids who are not aggressive, like just the opposite? They actually do not say anything and they kind of withdraw. Now you have kids who just keep to themselves and don't say a word, but you know they are somehow in a miserable state, but you cannot get them to say anything.
I think it takes a lot of patience, and also it takes really encouragement and pointing out the good things, and also praise, and if possible to find out also there must be some injury, there must be some hurt, and that this girl is closing up. Of course, for parents, sometimes it's very difficult. And so I always emphasize it's good if the girl knows someone, a trusted adult, a mature person, she can turn to, and who can give her the encouragement, who can also listen to her, who can listen to her pain. I mean, not only to the words, but what does she want to say with her words? Sometimes people say many things, but you don't, you have to understand what they want to say with these words, what is behind them, what is in their heart, what is the suffering. And yeah, I mean, the psychologist or a therapist, they have sometimes questionnaires to ask them, no? And also to finish certain sentences. I like most so and so and so, and then they have to just fill in the missing word. Like this, someone can also find out more and more. Maybe not so much for parents, but for those people who are taking care of them otherwise, like a teacher or, as I said, an adult friend of such a girl. But it's really important to understand the reason why a girl is like that, and maybe has experienced some very terrible things, and she doesn't dare to tell it to the parents, because often children, they want to save their parents. They don't want to burden their parents. This is why they keep silent, and they rather suffer than talking to their parents. Yeah, because I think she is still in this environment, no? Of in this violent environment, and this is the problem. And when the school doesn't take care of it, then she's always exposed to violence, all this harassment. So, and I think she is really frustrated because she doesn't see any end of the situation. And first of all, the school also has a responsibility, because the teachers, they know the kids, and I think they also know who are the troublemakers, and they can, yeah, and they're really responsible to balance the situation, also to challenge the bullies. But I mean, there are some methods that can really help also for the classmates to have a better relationship with each other. Yeah, and they have to be trained, no? Both sides have to be trained. I mean, the ones who are harassed, and also the ones who are the aggressors. So they both need training. And as I said already in my presentation, both of them are lacking often of self-esteem. So they have a very low feeling of being valued. So that are issues that have to be addressed. So the children have to understand, no, what it does, no, and what they do, and they have to take responsibility for what they are doing. They have to learn it, so they can only learn it from the adult and all of those who are in charge.
Thank you.
There's one question from Salimina. Huh?
Yes.
It says, thank you for the presentation. It was insightful. My concern goes to caretakers who no longer provide quality time to adolescents despite so many capacities, buildings, sessions provided to them. How can we work closely with them to meet their responsibilities? with caretakers, who is meant by this? Teachers or
These are parents,
parents?
parents of the adolescent girls.
Parents.
Pflegeeltern.
Okay.
Pflegeeltern.
Okay.
And I think also foster parents and those who are taking care of children for some time, or not?
Yeah. But mainly these are parents. I think she meant parents because we refer to them as caretakers or guardians on one of the projects. So we have given them capacity. We have strengthened their capacity in child protection to make sure that the adolescent girls don't fall prey to risk behaviors. But unfortunately, the violence starts within the home. So despite all the interventions that we have done, we don't seem to see change from particular parents. So I think that's our question. How can we work closely with them to meet their responsibilities? Parental
Very
responsibility.
difficult
We are
because
looking at positive parenting skills or practices and denounce the negative practices. I know it's a process, but perhaps you can give us some positive aspects on this.
yeah, they need the re-education, but they probably don't want to change. And if a person doesn't want to change and doesn't want to learn, then it's like talking to a wall. It's then very difficult, no? If you can find a way to their heart to let them understand what they're doing is not right and why it is not right and what it causes, what sort of suffering it causes to the children, then maybe they can understand.
This question always arises: who is educating the educators?
Yeah.
This is always
It's
the big.
educating the peer mentors. We have a lead mentor, and these are social workers. They're qualified social workers.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
This is a reoccurring question: who is educating the educators? We need to the state, also the government, the Ministry of Education needs to invest much more in educating the educators.
Yeah. Okay. But also we need to appreciate that behavior change takes some time. Not everyone will change. Maybe we need to be patient with them, or we need to re-strategize. Perhaps they need parental support groups, parents talking to parents.
Yes.
Those that are role models in their community. Yeah, but just like you have said that we shouldn't give up on this. We start small and we shall see change with time.
The self-help groups, no? And are also possible. So that there are groups formed of those who feel they are victims, and also parents groups to talk together also with someone who is really mature and who can really give them some guidance. No? But of course, when it's all voluntarily, then they won't show up, I suppose. No? So I think they need a certain pressure. I don't know what you can do, no? To give them this certain pressure so that they come, that they listen, and that they can change their habits.
Okay. There's another question here. I would like to know the difference between guidance and career guidance roles while mentoring. They are quite confusing for this person. Guidance, the difference between guidance and career guidance roles while mentoring.
Yeah, I think it concerns different areas, no? One time guidance is the internal guidance, no? Also the guidance of the heart, the direction of the heart, the direction of the conscience. And the other one is more an external guidance, no? When it comes to career when it comes to school performance and so on. But we also need to undergo an internal education, a development of our heart and a development of our conscience.
Okay, I don't seem to see any other question in the chat. Just thanking you for the presentation. It was very insightful. And yes, thank you so much. Yes, please. Please, go ahead.
Okay. The thing that I want to talk about, especially, there was a question, someone said that the child doesn't want to open up. There is also experience at home, because you find that once there is a time when you find a child has ever wanted to speak something, then the reaction from the parent creates fear. So the experience that child also received in the first place, you find that, for example, someone has been raped, or maybe the child is pregnant. The parents try to say, please come, tell me. But when the child speaks it out, it becomes another war. So if a child experiences another problem, the child will not be able to express him or herself depending on the past experience that child received. Then there is also another, the approach whereby there are some things, for example, like teasing. We have one form of teasing, which is called nicknaming. And most of you, my Ugandan fellows, you know that when they tease you or when they nickname you, the more you shout about it, or the more you report or you argue, the more how the nickname will become strong. So one of the methods to control that, a child decides to keep quiet, to silence the noise. So that's one of the things I can talk about, the issue of opening up of that particular child, the experience itself. So it's better that the parents come up, they always be close to their children, and the child gets that relationship between him and the parent, so that there can be a space to open up. And they should not always judge them, because being judgmental is one of the causes of the failure to open up. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's correct.
Thank you to Sabiti. I actually wanted to ask Gaby, do you think silence is one of the coping skills as opposed to aggressive behavior? In light of what Sabit has just said, or in very different contexts, because we know we all internalize information differently, and we find ourselves in different situations where you have to act or think differently or act differently, as long as it is not aggressive. So do you think silence is one of the coping mechanisms as opposed to aggressive behavior?
Yeah, it can be a possibility, no, to be silent to the teasing and mocking and harassment, but not always. It really depends on the situation. It depends on the persons, and also on the different personalities. So I cannot say it is good or it is not good. So it might be good and might not be good. And sometimes you have to find out certain things, because we don't get a clear, how can I say, so we don't get clear instructions how we can lead our life. So life in itself is full of questions and answers, no? So sometimes many things we have to try out, and then we will act according to our experiences. I don't know whether it is a satisfying answer.
No, because you have talked about the context in which you are and also the situation at hand. So you need to think differently and see whether it will not harm you, it is preventing harm from you or causing harm to another person. and take charge of your decision. Yes, I think we can have more. One, Renette, your hand is up. Kindly go ahead.
Yes, I just want to add to the comment of Gaby and this point of teasing, because actually I experienced it sometime at school. My children, they had this social education, like they had 2 hours in a week where they would talk about behaviors. And I think then this is much better to address a behavior generally than just to talk with this one child. But then one point was nickname, and they each said, oh, you can call me like this, or this is okay, but if you say this and that, it's not okay. So they really discussed, everybody said, I don't mind to be called a nice name, if it's not the real name also, but they also decide what it's not. And the teachers, to make it a general mood or atmosphere that we do not call each other with names that hurts the other person. And I felt so good about this at school because it helped the children. This teacher, she was a young teacher, she was very engaged to get it somehow to sensibilize, to realize, oh, this is really not good to do this. And maybe 80% will follow the rule. There will be always someone who sticks out, but then even the other children can say, oh, we said it's not correct. Why are you doing this? Or like talking about what are you dressing? I mean, this is maybe, even one teacher, she said, I have to talk that the way I dress, if it costs a lot of money or not a lot of money, it doesn't make a person a better person. My children always came with second-hand clothes, yeah? And she realized that the children are judging each other. It was like the 14, 15, 16-year-olds. If they buy the trousers in an expensive shop, maybe this is less your problem. But to talk about things or to talk through things in a session at school, because then it's kind of everyone talking about it, and it's not saying one person is doing it, but somehow to generate this general mood or generate a feeling for rules, common rules. So they discussed, yeah. I just wanted to mention that then.
Okay, thank you so much. Gaby, do you want to say anything? Add anything?
Jackie, I'm here also, Jackie.
Yes.
I thank my husband for his comments.
We can hear from him.
Released.
Okay. Bye-bye, everybody. It was
Oh,
good meeting
bye-bye.
you. Thank you. Great work. Thank you.
Thank you too. Yes, Dr. Rogers.
Jackie, are you done?
Yes, we are.
One or two comments. Gaby and others from Vienna, thank you so much for the time you take to do research, but also to raise discussions locally here. For me, one of the areas of interest, Gaby, as you talked about it, is the issue of violence. Teasing and bullying is to do with violence. And here we find a lot of factors which are inhibiting, discouraging young people to report. One of them is culture, the norm. There's a culture which tends to support that violence is acceptable, admissible, you can do it on children. So children are not supposed to complain. And that too, we see this in our programs, in the young people. Young people don't report when people abuse them, when emotionally abuse them, sexually abuse them, physically beat them, when young men grab the girls' things and take them away. And this is a challenge. And one of the areas which me and Jackie, and there is also another Jackie, we are looking at is how do we help young people to say no to bullying, to say no to violence, to say no and report, because many of them are not reporting, because the culture here, the norms here, discourage. They make girls, they make boys to accept whatever they are doing on them as it is normal. And me and Jackie are taking on that, and we find many young people have a lot of trauma from physical abuse, from sexual abuse. And if that trauma is not is not addressed at the earliest point, it can spill over. It spills over. Young people become aggressive. Young people get into drugs and alcohol. And for us, this is a very, very big challenge. And it's also coming up, for example, the project Jackie is reading with other colleagues. We see a lot of teenage adolescent challenges. Things like we need to give young people information that how do you protect yourself? how do you take care of yourself? How do you deal with problems which are affecting us? So thank you very much. I want to thank my colleagues who turned up, who attended. We will be discussing the next topic in May when I meet you and Gaby and I meet you and we discuss so that we see how we can contribute from there. And also, but also we are going to get more case studies, for example, from Uganda, from some of our colleagues have good case studies where the new topic comes up so that we can do a more interface and interactive discussion. Thank you very much. Jackie, over to you. We accept. I saw Sabiti and others who contributed. Thank you so much. And this is great. Jackie, over to you. Thank you so much on my side.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. Gaby, we are very grateful and we request you to share the presentation. As always, we shall reflect on the presentation and be able to pick out strategies that we can use, particularly on cases that are still pending or quite challenging for all of us. Thank you so much, the peer mentors online and the social workers, but also the entire team of Gaby and the rest. Thank you, unless you want to say anything else, Gaby.
And I wish you all the best for all your hard and very important work. I know it is very, very challenging, but yeah, I already mentioned, no? A lot of patience and a lot of love is needed. That people are also ready to change. No? Without love, they will resist to change anything. So yeah, it takes a lot of heart also. But it's possible to change. It's possible to change, no? But we have to change ourselves. This is our starting point, no? And to encourage others and to do good to others, so that we can really feel genuine joy together with each other. This is, I wish all of you.
Okay, bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice day.
You too.
Okay, Jackie, Jackie, I request that we go to the main topic. We ask the presenter to do. Maybe you could come up with the case study later at the end of the session to see how the knowledge through the mentorship and the cash transfer, the social protection can help adolescent mothers and girls and the challenges of puberty. And so over to you, Gaby. Gaby and the presenter, please start.